This episode of the Berry Chronicles is proudly brought to you by Bariatric Support Australia.
Hi everyone, so we're here with Michaela. Michaela, thank you so much for joining us.
Yay, we're so happy to have you again.
Thank you so much for having me back on. It's been an absolute pleasure. I've been so excited for it.
Oh, the last one, people loved it, and we had a lot of people just saying, when are you having Michaela back?
Oh my God, really?
Here's Michaela again, everybody.
You guys ever felt like this? Is that sometimes when you put things out, you're like, does anyone actually care?
Yep. 100%. 100% know how that feels. But yes, people are definitely there.
Yeah.
Oh,
and I think they sort of get invested in the stories and connect with different people in different ways. And it's like they want to know what's going on and all that sort of stuff. Now, last time we spoke, I don't think we mentioned it, but
no, it was briefly mentioned.
Yeah, briefly mentioned that you were having another surgery.
Yeah.
Has that happened?
Yes. So I got my gallbladder removed. Oh God, that was a tongue twister to say, but I got it removed on the 29th of October. So I'm about 2 weeks and 5 days post-op. God, wasn't that an experience? You do get warned about it, like before going through with the sleeve. It was definitely a complication that my surgeon said that this can happen. But, I think we all think, oh, yeah, that's fine. Yeah, that's so fine. And you don't actually think it's going to happen to you. I definitely thought that was myself. And I kind of remember when it first started to happen, the signs of, I guess, gallstones, was I constantly kept thinking I was having muscle soreness from the gym. So if anyone has experienced gallstones, and I know, Tash, you definitely have, you've gotten it removed, is that you experience in your abdomen here and you experience it in your back like this. When it's not so bad, a mild pain. And I was just thinking it was muscle soreness from the gym. I remember waking up and I'd go for my morning walk and I was like, oh God, my pre-workout's not agreeing with my stomach, but really it was gallstones. And I guess the first sign of it is one morning I woke up and it literally felt like someone punched me in the stomach. Like I woke up and I was winded and it was just like, it felt more than a stomach ache, but I guess I never experienced that pain before that I thought it was a stomach ache, even though it was on the opposite side. But and I remember going to my GP and instantly she was like, oh, you've got gallstones. And I was like, oh, no, like it doesn't feel like that because, on the help page, I was reading a lot that people were saying that it's worse than childbirth. It's this, it's that. So I was really like kind of, I guess, this dumbing it down, being like, oh, no, it probably isn't that. So she's like, look, let's just go get yourself an ultrasound, see what it is. And I did. And I remember like getting it done. And then the lady, I was like, I know you're not meant to tell me, but are you able to let me know if I do have them? Because I just really wanted to know because I knew the only kind of cure is having surgery. So she made me stand up and she was like, do you see that? And I was like, I didn't even know what I'm looking at, but yeah, I do. And she was like, your gallbladder is completely full of gallstones. And honestly, I remember my heart sinking so badly because I'll be honest, having the sleeve done, it did kind of scare me from having another surgery. And I remember walking out of that like appointment and I remember feeling a little bit numb because I was like, I don't know what to expect. I didn't really know too much about, your gallbladder or having gallstones. And then from there, I went back to my GP. She obviously read the results. She gives you a referral to your surgeon. And I went back to the same surgeon that did my sleeve. I was lucky enough, I didn't pay for the surgery. He put me on his like wait list and I had to wait about 3 months before getting it done. And within those 3 months, obviously I was having mild attacks, but 3 weeks right before the surgery, I actually had a stone get stuck. Now, now I understand what everyone says about it's worse than childbirth because I'm not even kidding you. I don't want to over exaggerate, but I legitimately thought I was dying. Like I was sitting there working from home and I took a sip of my coffee and I don't know if that was the trigger, but it felt like the first instant what happened was it felt like someone internally stabbed me from here to across here. Yeah. And then from the back, the same thing. And then my body just went into shock. Like I was sweating, like dripping sweat. And then like going freezing cold and then shivering and then sweating and shivering. And I was calling my partner being like, please come home because he only works like 2 minutes around the corner. And I would try to get in the shower to regulate myself, but I couldn't. And I hadn't eaten anything for that day. And then the nausea happened. So I started just vomiting up bile and all that stuff. And I just knew something was obviously really wrong. Rushed me to the Nepean hospital, got me in, and they got me into triage straight away, giving me all the great painkillers and did all the tests, like honestly so many tests, like 3 blood tests, x-rays, like ECGs, everything. And he was like, you actually had a stone that was stuck. It took probably about 6 hours for it to kind of pass. And then from there, honestly, I did feel quite okay. But from that, I was like, get this thing out of me, because I was in denial, and I was like, I don't know if I should. Like, I'm not getting that massive big pain. But yeah, after that, I was like, get it out.
Yep. Totally. I can totally relate. I think my earliest memory of anyone with a gallbladder was my mum. And she was 28, and I can vividly I even remember what she was wearing when the ambulance came and she actually was taken by ambulance to the hospital. I can vividly remember it, and she was bent over, and I don't know, I think that image was just burned into my brain. And when I was 4 weeks post gastric bypass, when I had this, I'd actually had what my GP thought were UTIs for about 10 years. So on and off for 10 years, I'd had these UTIs, and nothing ever came back with, like, on the urine test, but they would just give me the antibiotics and the pain would go away. But I had a similar experience to that, and then it just got progressively worse over the coming days. And then one day I woke up and I felt like literally someone was scratching me on the inside with like the tip of a knife or something. And oh my goodness.
Yeah. Yes.
It was
definitely.
It was horrible feeling.
I'm so glad it happened to you guys and not me.
I never say never. You never know.
Yes, that's right, Damo.
It will creep up on you. Like, it honestly will creep up on you. And like, you know what? I will be honest. Like, I was very scared for the surgery, because I don't think I kind of said in the last podcast, but coming out of anesthetic from my sleeve, I had such a bad time. Like, I've had surgeries prior to that, and I never had a reaction like I did from the sleeve. And what it was is, when I woke up, I was actually vomiting blood and black stuff for the first day, kind of night, and then obviously it kind of came okay. But so I was petrified to go under. Like, I was absolutely petrified, because I just remember that. Do you know what I mean? And I just didn't want to go through that same pain. Also, like I said in the last podcast, I studied about the sleeve so much that I knew everything about it. And with this, I was very naive going into surgery. I didn't really know all too much, unless kind of what I've read and kind of what I heard from other people. And, you know, I was nervous as well, because people were telling me that they had intolerances after getting their gallbladder removed. Like, they couldn't handle like milk and creams and all that stuff. And I love my coffee. Like, honestly, I was petrified to give up my coffee. And I was trying to be very positive and had, like, you know, an open mind going into it. But I've had such a good result. And I did let the anesthesiologist, I can't remember how to say the name, but yeah.
Yep. That
one. Know that I had a really bad time, you know, from my last surgery, and they actually used a different type of one. Instead of putting it over my face, they did it through the drip. And they also gave me something to relax my nerves before going in there. And honestly, it was a very long day. Like, I rocked up at 10 a.m. thinking the surgery was going to get done and I was going to go home that night. No, my surgery was done at like 4:30, and I didn't wake up until like 8 p.m. So it was a big day, but the first week was horrible. Absolutely horrible. Reason being, obviously, you're sore from surgery. And also, like I said, I was very naive. I didn't know they'll go for my belly button. I didn't get told that. I don't know. Did you yours go for your belly button at all, Tash? Or
yeah, they did. Yeah, they went through my belly button, and I had 3 others, but I also woke up with a drain.
Okay.
After mine, I had a drain for a few days because I had a lot of icky yuck, like on the outside of it.
Yeah, I find surgery draining too.
It can be, hey. When I woke up as well, you know what? I actually had 5 scars instead of 4, and I remember him telling me 4, and I didn't understand why. But then I read on like the sheet that they give you from discharges that they had to use contrast dye and everything to see if I had any blockages. So I was like, oh, that's interesting. But how I actually found out they went through my belly button is, I have a lot of piercings that they were taping up. So they tape my nose, my dermals, everything like that, and they tape my belly button. And when I woke up, she gave me a pager, and she's like, oh, I hope they didn't break it. And I was like, what is this? Like, is this medication? And she goes, oh no, it's your belly button ring. And I was like, well, why did they take my belly button ring out? And she was like, because they did surgery there. And I remember just being so out of it. And I like lifted up the gown, and she was like, oh no, not in front of this, everyone's around. And I was like, oh my God, you're right. I couldn't believe they went through my belly button. And then later on, I asked my surgeon, and he goes, yeah, I pulled the gallbladder out from there. But I'm actually really thankful because as silly as this sounds, and I'm very vulnerable, I'm very open about, I guess, everything, is that, after I've lost about, I think I'm 56.2 kilos down. And after losing weight, it comes with complications, or it comes with whatever it comes with after. I just felt like my belly button looked a little bit like a donut, like inside a donut. Do you know what I mean? And I was like, it is what it is after losing all that weight. And ever since he's done the surgery and obviously done it through the belly button, it's kind of like I got a free belly button lift. It doesn't actually mean
what about it?
I know, right? It doesn't look like inside of a donut anymore, which I'm sad about because I love donuts. But you know what I mean?
Yeah, no, that's awesome. There has to be some upside to it, honestly, Michaela, because yeah, that first week after gallbladder surgery, I did find, now I haven't had any of the intolerances. I mean, I was already celiac, but I haven't had any, I'm fine with dairy. I'm fine with with all of the things, I've heard people say, I couldn't have cheese anymore. I don't know what I would do if I couldn't suddenly have cheese anymore. That would be such a sad day. So I've been really good with all of that, but I did find the first week pretty challenging.
Yeah.
After my gallbladder came out, and I was like you in that, I watched my mum obviously go through it, but I was a little child, and I hadn't really known anybody as an adult that had it removed. So I didn't know what to expect at all. I hadn't read up on it, and I didn't read up on it even when I knew that I had to have it done, because I didn't want to freak myself out.
Yeah. And it was pre-keyhole when Mum had it done.
That's right.
It was a cut from sort of a pelvis.
Yeah, like Mum's got a full-on scar from hers. It wasn't keyhole back in those days. It was they cut you. They cut you from your breastbone to your pubic bone, kind of. Well, I don't know if they always did, but they did with her, and they had a real good look around, apparently. So, yeah. But
thank God.
Yeah, for me, I just found it a bit tough to recover from it. And I guess I'll never know if it was because it was so soon after my bypass or what. It was within that first month. Yeah. So I was still recovering anyway. But I definitely found it challenging, and the swelling and all that all over again. And I don't know, how have you gone with meal restriction on the portion sizes? Has that been affected?
Yeah, great question. So not only obviously the first week was hard because obviously the stitches, but I think the first week was really hard for me because of the gas pain from surgery. Obviously they blow you up, and I never experienced that from my sleep. Of course I obviously had the gas, but it never went up into my shoulders. And for the first 2-3 nights, I actually had to sleep on the couch sitting up because to lay down, oh my God, the pain. But when it came to food, the first week, definitely, I felt my restriction come back. I just wasn't hungry. Food wasn't on my mind. I kind of I really wanted things plain. So if I was going to have breakfast, all I just really wanted was some buttered toast and an egg. I wanted to keep everything really plain.
Yep.
And I did find, I guess, this is what I did with the sleeve, is that I tried to introduce all foods very soon. So I did the same thing with the gallbladder. I wasn't eliminating things or going on a special diet. I did find probably for the first week, but it's kind of settled now, when I was having my coffees, sorry for the TMI, it was kind of going right through me, and I wasn't experiencing that before. It has obviously kind of stopped now, thank God for that. But that's probably the only thing. I'm very lucky when it comes to, I guess, when people experience dumping, is that I don't get the nausea, I don't get the shaking or anything like that. It just comes from the other end.
Yeah. But I'm probably like that as well with coffee, but I kind of just use it as my superpower. So it's okay, we need to take a shit. Let's
aim it at that person.
No, let's have a cup of coffee and it's gonna be fine.
Love it. It just cleans you out sometimes and it makes you feel good. So
yeah, that's right. So it's just a good clean out.
So you don't aim at it?
No, I don't. Only maybe at annoying brothers.
God, that is so funny. No. But, honestly, I think as well, like yourself, one thing I guess the both two differences is that I really wanted to get the sleeve done, but I didn't want to get my gallbladder removed. And this is what I kind of kept saying to everyone before I had the stone get stuck, is that I was like, I don't know if I want to go through with this. And everyone's like, oh, you'll be fine. You had a sleeve. You can do anything. And I'm like, I get that, but I wanted my sleeve done. I don't want this done. I don't know what the gallbladder really does, but now I do. Obviously, it breaks down bile. But my surgeon explains, he goes, you actually don't really need it. Like, he goes, because yours is actually completely full of stones, it's not already working anyway. So he goes, it's just inside you causing you pain. Just get it out. And when he said that, I was like, fine, okay, you can take it. But I just wasn't excited for it. But I am really thankful. Like I said, I'm 2 weeks and 5 days now. I am thankful everything's going really smoothly. But I guess the other thing, I had really bad anxiety before going in with everything, is that I got myself into a really good routine before that.
Yeah.
And my routine is now obviously just on pause at the moment. I'm trying to be very positive, and that's the biggest thing I say to anyone is mindset is so powerful with anything in your life. Like,
agreed.
It's your mind can do so much, and it's the most powerful tool besides anything else in your body. And I've tried to just really be like, I'm so grateful for the fact that I had a great recovery. I'm grateful that I can still walk. I'm grateful that I can still have my coffee. And even though I can't train, because you can't lift weights for 6 weeks. And trust me, I've tried to ask my GP, my surgeon, anything like, can I do resistance bands? Can I lift light weights? And they're just like, if it's going to impact your core, no, because you can get, what is it?
Hernias?
Yes, from the keyholes. Yes. So that's the whole reason they'd say to avoid it. And once I found that out, I was like, oh God, like, what is 6 weeks? Do you know what I mean? And if I can keep walking obviously still kind of releases those happy endorphins. It's not the same as lifting weights or getting into a routine like that, because I think one thing that lifting weights made me really feel, or doing Pilates, it made me feel strong. Yeah, like, kind of losing that is giving me a little bit of, it makes me a little bit sad, but I know it's not for everything. Yeah.
But isn't it interesting how powerful, well, I mean, obviously, number one, our mindset, but number two, our routine and the things that we do on a daily basis. I think I've become more aware the longer post-op that I get, the more aware I am about how powerful those things are that we do day in and day out. And we really can just take it for granted. But like the gym for you, running for me is a huge, huge part of what I use for mental health, of how I scaffold myself and how I cope with stress, how I cope now instead of turning to food like I used to. That is definitely something that I do now, is, like trying to keep that positive mindset and do something that's going to be healthy for myself. And when we're going through these challenging times, like where we have to take a break or take a little rest, it can be very, very confronting to have to sit with ourselves and think, okay.
So what are you doing now, Michaela, for that whole mental health thing? And because obviously that's been really important to you, and you've used the gym as an outlet. And how are you coping now that's sort of been taken away temporarily?
Yeah, definitely. Like, the first week I didn't walk at all. Obviously, I was just focusing on recovering, because there's no point pushing yourself and then actually injuring yourself even more. Really, like, I actually probably, from me going through the gastric sleeve, I actually changed my mindset from the start from there. So I really just try to implement that with my life now. Obviously, from the second week, I was able to walk. So I was on my treadmill, just small little walks. I started with 20 minutes, started with 30 minutes. I have walked outside and done like a 7K walk, which has been actually kind of fun. I was a little sore in my core, but that actually really helped. But, there was something that I wanted to touch on, was I didn't realize how much the gym meant to me and how much I was using it for my mental health until this week. I actually had a day that I got really overwhelmed, and, it was really hard. I was really stressed out. I had one of those little like panic attacks, I guess you could say, and I had a little overwhelming cry, and all I wanted to do was binge and emotionally eat. And it was a trigger, and I realized that. Before, I wouldn't have realized that, and I would have just ran to the cupboard and I would have binged my little heart out. But I realized that. Did I go binge? No. But did I have a treat? Yeah. I had an Allen's Python. If you guys don't eat them, they are amazing. Great for pre-workout before you train. But I had one, and I was able to just stop there. And did I feel a little guilty after having it? Yeah and no, because I was like, that's not something I usually do eat. But also I thought about, you know what, but Michaela, old you would have eaten that whole packet. Old you would have binged out on chips and chocolate until you actually felt physically sick. And then from there, I was able to understand why I was feeling like that. I was trying to, okay, let's work through why you're feeling overwhelmed and what steps we can take to make you not feel overwhelmed. So I spoke to my partner, I got my lashes done, and I spoke to my girlfriend. And honestly, after doing all that and realizing what was making me feel like that and what the triggers were, I was able to then kind of come at ease and be like, okay, let's start again for what I was doing.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's amazing. And that it really shows so much personal growth as well.
Yeah.
Isn't that amazing?
Thank you. But I definitely recommend, if people are trying to work on their mindset, there's a podcast I listen to. It's called Do You Fucking Mind? And it's actually a really good podcast. She speaks all about mindset and everything like that. And I listened to one really recently, it goes create excuses or create change. And oh my God, you guys definitely need to listen to that podcast because, I think one thing she goes, making excuses is only hurting yourself, not anyone else around you. It's only hurting yourself. And if you were going to make those excuses, you're never going to have change. And I really, really say that that mindset is so strong because after the sleeve, I know that, we can still feel insecure or we still don't feel confident enough in ourselves or we're still so afraid to join the gym or do anything like that for ourselves. But at the end of the day, I always say to people, I'm like, we went through something so big that a lot of people don't experience. Like we got our stomach cut out or, obviously a different bariatric surgery or something like that. And at that point, when we made that decision that we wanted to make change, we needed to keep continuing that because I think some people also do think getting the sleeve done is just a quick fix, and it's not. It is a complete lifestyle change. And if you're not willing to change, I guess, your mindset, your food, I guess your day-to-day living with exercise and everything that comes with it, nothing is going to change for you. Yeah.
Unfortunately, all of these things work because we work them.
Yeah.
And in the long term, it is 100% true that we create the reality that we live.
Yeah.
And we do that by the choices that we make every little day, by the little things that we do every day.
Of course. And I think a lot of people, I guess, sometimes make up excuses because it does put I guess making up, for example, right, is if someone wanted to join the gym and they'll make up an excuse because of this or because of that. I think a lot of people make up excuses because it makes them feel vulnerable or it puts them in an uncomfortable position they don't want to be in. So they do make up an excuse to try and avoid it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's right.
And while we're talking about how important the gym can be, I was really excited because you were able to get us a 3-month gym membership to give away.
It's amazing.
Yes, honestly, my bosses, so both of my bosses, it's Hayden and Claire, and they are married, so I call them my mum and dad. And honestly, Gym, I love it so much. As you can see, I light up when I start talking about it, but it is literally my second home. I absolutely love my job. And I think a lot of people do say, if you love your job, it doesn't feel like you're working. And I definitely believe that because, when they hired me, I actually applied for 2 other gyms. I'm not going to mention who they are, but, they looked me up and down and they're like, oh, you know what, we're not hiring. Because obviously when I first started working at Gym, I was over 100 kilos. I was still a bigger girl. And, those 2 gyms, I'm not being mean, but I know they didn't hire me because of my appearance. And because after when they told me they weren't hiring, they were still hiring. And when I actually joined Gym, so me and my partner actually met at my old gym. So, the gym's always been such a big part of my life. I started training since I was 16 years old at the gym. It's always been a big part of my life off and on. I feel like training was never my problem. It was always my food, binging and, having the wrong food choices. That is what led me to gaining a lot of weight. But I actually joined Gym, and the girl that joined me up, she, me and her vibe really well. And she actually reached out to me and she goes, do you know we're hiring? Do you see yourself working here? And I was like, me? You want to hire me? And I remember when they hired me, I felt on top of the world because I was like, wow, I'm a girl that is a size 8. Well, I was at my biggest, I got to a size 2018. But at the time when they hired me, I was a size 18. And I was like, they're hiring me? When the gym is meant to have this, I guess, image of, the fittest girl and all that stuff. And, I actually loved that I was a bigger girl when I did work there, because when I was doing membership consultant and like being a sales manager, I would have people on the phone say to me, oh, but you're just a skinny girl and like you wouldn't understand the way I feel and that's why I can't be bothered going to the gym. And I was like, actually, I'm over 100 kilos and I am a size like 18 and I am a bigger girl. So I do understand where you're coming from. Come in the door and I'll be more than happy to help you. And I helped so many people from that. And you know, my bosses never ever said anything about my weight. And when I went through, you know, when I decided to go through this journey, they were one of the first people to actually find out. And they were so supportive with me. They were supportive the whole way through. You know, they've been, even through my gallbladder removal, so supportive. They're the most beautiful people. And they do own Welsham Penrith and Welsham Bathurst. Best gym you'll ever go to. They honestly, the one thing that I do love about it, it's a family gym and anyone and everyone on all shapes and sizes go there. And the whole gym is just such a supportive community. Like so many members just only want to see you do well. And I have made some really strong friendships by working there. But, you know, yeah. And like, you know, why I say it's like, it's a family gym because like they have a crèche. So if you do have kids and, you know, I know that's sometimes a little bit of a hard subject for some people, well, not subject, but, you know, people with children do struggle going to the gym because, you know, who's going to look after their kids? We will. And, you know,
Amazing.
we do have something like called a comfort zone. So if you are feeling a little bit nervous or shy, you know, starting out, the comfort zone's upstairs away from everyone. So you can have a little bit more of a private workout and there's everything up there. And not only that, you do have group fitness classes, which is fantastic to do if you wanted to make some friends or, you know, just wanted to train with someone or not have to think and someone tells you what to do.
Yeah, and that's such a good idea because we get a lot of people asking, you know, they want to meet someone and, you know, maybe their group of friends have changed after they've had weight loss surgery or, you know, things happen, life goes on, and go to the gym.
Yeah, like I met my partner at the gym. Like, you know, I see a lot of relationships actually develop at the gym. Like I have seen so many people actually get together because, you know, they start seeing each other at the gym or, you know, something like you just said, besides people getting in relationships, we have a PT down at the gym and he has developed a beautiful community. So he obviously, it's called 1RM and, you know, he has people, they do like community walks on the weekend. And, you know, what I have seen from what he has created is a group of people that didn't have a lot of friends and now they are friends. Do you know what I mean? They bounce off one another and it is so beautiful to see. And, you know, he's really fantastic. He's actually worked with a lot of people that actually have the gastric sleeve or bypass and has actually helped them. He even prepped someone that had a sleeve and went on stage and everything like that. So the gym, like the gym isn't a scary place. And I know that a lot of people actually think that. And the one beautiful thing that what Well Gym does, and I touched on this before in the last podcast, is that we really care about what you're wanting to do at the gym. You know, a lot of people, we want to find out your goals. We want to find out what made you walk through that door. And a lot of people, you know, obviously the biggest key is they want to change or they want to lose weight or they want to, you know, get skinny or they want to gain weight, sorry. But, you know, a lot of people actually use the gym for mental health. And we saw that a lot from COVID when the gym was actually closed. I was working at the gym at the time and there was people that like, you know, this this older gentleman came into the gym and, you know, I can't remember how many months we were in lockdown, but he said to my boss, he goes, oh, you know, you're the first person that I've actually spoken to since being in lockdown. And he goes, it actually makes me feel like so good that he goes, just walking into this gym is just making me feel good for my mental health. He goes, I have missed this so much for my mental health and routine. Yeah.
Yep. I mean, I know like living in Melbourne during COVID, going through like the extended COVID lockdowns.
Yeah.
Just being able to, or just seeing other people was, you know, it was like a rare thing. We were all in our houses for quite some time. And but my friends and people that I walk with, when like I looked forward to that so much because we were able to have like socially distant walks.
Yeah.
But oh my goodness, like just coming together and being able to move bodies together, exercising together, it's a powerful thing to do.
It definitely is. It 100% is. And like the gym is such a powerful place. Like I know that we speak about a lot of nutrition is the most important. And yeah, 100% it is. And I do understand that sometimes, you know, people aren't able to train and I totally get that for all different types of reasons. But, you know, the gym is so important, not just obviously mentally, but physically, because I guess the perfect way to kind of explain it is if you want to see change in your body, of course, you're going to see change when you start eating a lot better, but you'll see change if you start lifting weights or implementing like exercise, like reformer Pilates or whatever it could be. You do really see a lot of change. I started training when I had got sleeved and I got cleared at 6 weeks. I was in the gym that night and I started to train. And, I do want to say to some people, like, because I'm definitely a person that's like this, is that all guns blazing, and then that's why I did my Achilles tendonitis, is that just small steps at the start. When you've been cleared at 6 weeks, you don't want to be at the gym for 5 days a week. You don't have the energy. We haven't been eating. We've been recovering, and our body is the most important thing to look after. But, those small steps, maybe if at that 6 week mark, if you can just rock up to the gym and walk on the treadmill, and then maybe start lifting really light weights, going on machines and stuff like that, it will start to create a certain routine for yourself. And, once we've done something for a few times, it then turns into a habit and something that we like crave. Do you know what I mean? Like something that we look forward to. And then eventually, like if you start to build like, the energy. I actually found, a little fun fact is that I was really struggling for energy when I was recovering because obviously we weren't eating. And the more I trained, the more energy I actually had, which is quite funny.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So I definitely I really want people to not be afraid of stepping out of their comfort zone, because that, I know a lot of people will be like, oh, I'm so afraid of the gym, or I'm afraid of judgment, or I'm afraid of this, but change doesn't happen unless you're willing to change yourself. And, those first few steps, I promise you, it will be scary, but I remember when I first started training at 16 years old, I used to wait until 9:30 p.m. Even though I had to be up at 5:30 a.m., I used to wait till 9:30 p.m. to get to the gym because I wanted to make change so badly. I wasn't happy with myself. And I think a lot of people go through the sleeve surgery or, the bariatric surgery because they want to have change within themselves.
Right.
Exactly. Yeah. And like the gym is something so fantastic because I get a lot of people say to me, oh, you're so lucky you work at a gym and that's why your body looks like that. And in a way, I'm just a little bit like, not, I guess, offended, because I'm just like, I'm not lucky. I worked hard and you can do thank you. And I'm like, but you can do the exact same. Like, I'm not like,
it takes away from your achievement, that sort of a statement, because you could work at the gym, but never touch any of the machines or do any of the workouts, and it wouldn't make a difference. How many people do we see that they buy a home gym and they sell it 18 months later and it's never been used?
Exactly. Like, prime example, I got up to 127.7 kilos and I was working at the gym. Like, I got up to my biggest weight I've ever been working at the gym. And just because I work at the gym does not mean that that's why my body looked like that. It's because I worked hard, but also it's just like people, they can do the exact same thing. Like, you can work hard. You can go to the gym, even if it's not the gym, find something else you love. Like if it's going to be boxing or, reformer Pilates or group classes, just anything. And it will be the exact same for you as well. Like, you just have to be able to put the work in to want to see these changes.
Agreed. I think one of the most powerful things is stepping past the fear. And as you touched on, Michaela, for those of us that have gone down a bariatric surgery pathway, we've already overcome a massive, massive amount of fear and so many hurdles to get to that point. And all of us have these types of surgeries because we want to experience a change. We want to experience a better life. And, one of the really interesting things, and Damo and I have talked about this quite a lot, is that we believe, anyway, that the younger generation are actually kinder than what we were, and what people have been in the past. And I know my sons are regulars at the gym, and they get so excited when people join and they're achieving their fitness goals. They'll come home and they'll be like, oh, Mum, it's so inspiring. You should have seen, like where they started, and you see them there and they're there every morning and it's just so incredible. You should see all the progress that they're making. And, like we're talking about young, fit guys, but they notice and they're like, it's just awesome. It's so great. And I love that mentality. I love that. I love that they're there cheering for others. And I think that gyms like by and large, are sort of filled with people that have that kind of heart.
110%. And you were so right. Like, you know, I train in the morning, and this is something that people, for example, I find because my work days are really big, in the afternoon, you wouldn't see me at the gym.
Yeah.
So I make the effort to wake up 2 hours earlier than I need to, so I can have my time at the gym. And usually at that time, there are a lot of older members that train, and I'm probably in their 80s and stuff like that. And, you know, a lot of people will see me go for the change. And I had numerous of members that I hadn't even met come up to me being like, you know, I've watched you and you're doing such a good job. And I had two older gentlemen come up to me, and one of them, like, he was so beautiful. He was like, Michaela, right? And I was like, yeah. And he grabbed my hand, he shook it, and he goes, I just want to say, well done. You're doing amazing. And he walked off. Do you know what I mean? So it just, the gym is such a happy, positive place. And, you know, exactly like you touched on before, for what I was saying was, you know, we go through such a massive change getting this surgery done. And I really, really, really want people to kind of, I guess, take this on board, is that we make the decision to get our stomach cut out. We make that decision and we spend a lot of money. Like, we need to start implementing change. Like, I knew when I was going to dive down this path of getting this surgery is that I need to make change within my food habits, within exercise as well, because if I don't make those changes, nothing is going to change. And then not only that, like, I'm a big believer on this, is that we have one life to live. Just one.
Agreed.
And I do not want to be on my deathbed regretting the things that I didn't do because I felt insecure. I don't want to be regretting the things the great opportunities that I got given because I felt big that day. I just want to live my life with no regrets. Exactly. And I'm like, and if someone is feeling so nervous to walk into the gym because of XYZ, I just want them to think back why they actually got this surgery done. They did it for change, and they did it because they wanted to make a better version of themselves. Yep. You know what I mean? Like, so it's just like,
totally agree with you.
Yeah. Like, I really want people to think that. And like, because you do have to put the work in, like, it's not going to happen overnight, and putting those little small steps in place to put the work in to better yourself. You're doing something for yourself, which should make you feel so good.
Yep. I agree with you. It is so much about self-love. And I think too, and something that I've realized just over the last few months, probably just watching, you know, the situation that we discussed off air, you know, like within our family, is how important it is to stay mobile, how important it is to invest into our health for mobility reasons, and so that I can live my life as healthy and well as I can for as long as I can. I want to be chasing my grandchildren and my great-grandchildren around. And in order to do that, it requires an investment into my actual fitness.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
And you know, a lot of things that I think, you know, I was having a beautiful conversation with a girl that was DMing me, and we were talking about all the things. She had the surgery done, and we were talking about all the things that, like, you know, that I guess people don't understand unless they've been in a bigger body, is like, you know, I don't have to leave the house without having chafe cream anymore. I can wear dresses and the skirts and all that stuff and not be so afraid of having chafe. Or I can actually tie my shoelace instead of putting my foot up on a bench or something like that because I couldn't reach it. Do you know what I mean? Or even like as well, sorry to mention it,
like you're going to have a heart attack tying your shoelace up.
Exactly. Or walking up the stairs. Oh my God. When I used to tour someone, I had to walk up the stairs. I would be so out of breath. And I'm like, this is so bad. Or like, even as well, and sorry to mention it, sex has gotten better. Not only obviously
100%.
because not only because it's like, I feel confident enough now. Like, it's no, you know, I know before I'd be like, I'll turn the lights off. I want to leave my big top on and all that stuff. But I don't feel like that anymore. But also the positions you can do that you couldn't do before. Like, it's just,
like no more just starfishing it for me, and hoping like if you just lie still enough, like the movement of everything will just be enough. Like, now I can actually participate without feeling like, you know, I'll damage him and damage myself in the process. Like, it's definitely heaps better. Sex is so much better now.
And like, you know, I think something exactly like you were saying. I remember before, because I used to feel so insecure of my stomach that I would grab the blanket and put it over like my stomach. Yes. And I'm like, You know,
I know. That's what I used to do as well. I'd be like holding it and just sort of like holding it up and away and kind of like, and you know, please don't touch it.
Yes.
But how
it's funny that, and like
sex in a bigger body it's one of those really, well, for me anyway, it was extremely challenging, and I felt so much shame and disconnect with my body. But now I'm more able to be like actually present and enjoy myself and enjoy sex now, whereas I didn't really before.
100%. And like, you know, something that I'd have to say, just talking about, you know, not being happy within your body, is that when I first met my partner, I was the fittest I ever was. You know, we met at the gym and it was fantastic. And I didn't have, you know, I started to gain a lot of weight through, you know, in our relationship, we've been together now nearly 6 years. And, you know, when I was gaining the weight, I couldn't understand why I was gaining it, because I was still, before what made me lose a lot of weight, I was on like a no carb diet and just eating the meal plan I was given. I had no understanding when it came to macros or nutrition or anything like that. I just got given a plan and I followed it. So when I was eating the chicken with rice and like, you know, vegetables or whatever it could be, I was gaining weight, because before in that meal plan I had, I didn't have any carbs. So, you know, I was still eating good foods, but I was gaining the weight and I couldn't understand. And I went for a really dark period of thinking, you know, he doesn't love me anymore because I'm big, or, you know, all these things that I was starting to struggle with, and I was in denial and I was doing everything to lose that weight. Like I actually counted within the 5 years of me gaining that weight, I had 13 coaches, and that's a lot. And I'm thankful for that though, because I have learnt so much from every single coach that I have had. But, you know, I really got in a very, very, very dark place when I gained that weight. You know, 3 years into it, I just kept gaining and gaining and gaining. And I hated myself. I hated myself so much. I remember crying and looking in the mirror, or I was in denial as well. I used to buy clothes that were like my old size, and they would come in the mail and I could put them on and I'd be like, oh, they don't fit me. And then I'd be like, oh, I'm going to put them in the cupboard because, you know, I'm going to lose this weight and they're going to fit me eventually. And they never did. I think one thing, you know, I started to follow a lot of people that were a bit bigger and that were very positive and body positive within themselves. But one thing that I recognized with all of those girls that I followed, they loved themselves no matter what size. And they were confident no matter what size. And that really, I really tried to flip my mindset towards that, because I was just like, you know what? If they can do it, so can I. And I really faked it till you make it, because a lot of people would say to me, but you were so happy big before. And I'm like, I was happy, but I wasn't genuinely happy. You know, like I was saying before, you have one life to live. So why live it miserably? I used to try to be like, you know, love me. I would look in the mirror. I remember there was like one thing that, you know, a friend told me to start to help to love yourself. Look in the mirror and start telling yourself, what do you love about yourself? Like if you were like, I'm grateful because, you know, I was able to eat today, or I'm grateful because I was able to walk, or I love my lips, I love my eyes, I love whatever it could be. And those small little kind of like compliments to yourself make up the bigger picture. And, you know, I think one thing, I compared myself so much to back when, you know, 5-6 years ago, to that body I had. I'd always look at that photos of myself and I'd always tell my friends, I'm like, oh, I can't wait to be back to her. Now I am. And I'm like, you know, I think one thing that I did back then, I was still so insecure. I was probably so fit and I was so insecure. And when I was gaining all that weight, I just used to look back at that body and be like, you never used to wear short shorts. Why? You had the body for it. I used to look back and be like, you know, you got given all these opportunities that you turned down. And I was like, why? Because you look so good. But I was so insecure back then. So one thing that I made a pact to myself and a promise to myself after the sleeve was, I'm like, no matter how insecure you feel, no matter how uncomfortable you feel doing things that scare you, or no matter how scared you may be, just fucking do it. And once you do it, you feel amazing. You just get this like endorphins through yourself and you're like, yeah, I did that. And you know, one thing I remember was a massive dream, and I never did this until after surgery and after I lost the weight. All I wanted to do was wear a crop and short shorts to the gym. That was the one thing. And I remember when I kind of felt confident enough to do it, it was a Sunday, so I knew a lot of people weren't there. It was Sunday at like nighttime, and I was like, just do it. So I put them on. I rocked up to the gym, and you know what? No one gave a fuck that I was wearing short shorts and a crop. they're doing their own thing. And I was so in my head that everyone was going to look at me, or they were going to be like, she's this, she's that. And I'm like, it's not the case. And, now I wear it and I feel so confident enough to do it. And some days when I look at myself in the mirror and I may be like, oh, I don't feel that confident. I'll go to the gym and someone will be like, wow, you look amazing. And I'm like, why was I in my head for? Like,
yep, that's right.
Yeah, it definitely
exactly
is.
Right. It's important for us to get out there and live our lives. Don't be afraid to go out there and enjoy it, because you know what? We are just as worthy, just as entitled to live a good life as everybody else is.
Exactly. And you know what? I don't know about you guys. I love watching people's journey when they do go through, I guess, the sleep. Yes, I know. Just because you see the growth in them, the confidence that comes out, how happy they are. They find, like, they fall in love with things they weren't in love with before, or they do things that they never did before. Like, I don't know about you guys. Did your food, like, I guess the way you saw food and the way some foods that you ate, did you hate food before surgery and now actually love them at all?
I think that I loved all food. After my surgery, I went through a stage of being frightened of food, but now I just love good food so much. And because I understand how to nourish myself now, it brings me endless amounts of joy that I can eat what I want and I know that my body is going to be okay. I love that.
Yes.
I absolutely love it.
I actually love doing some vegetarian nights and stuff, because I've just got to this point where I don't need, that big piece of meat all the time, and we make our own homemade baked beans, and I do them in the smoker, and
yeah,
and most of the kids like it as well, and it's just like it's so different to what I would have done once, but it's like we can put so much flavor into this stuff. We just have to actually care about what we're doing.
Care about the food,
right? And like, it's crazy, right? Like, would you have done that before, had vegetarian nights before at all? Or?
Never.
Right. Like, there's one thing that I would have never touched before surgery. And like, I actually have fallen in love with this meal, but tuna, right? Before surgery, I was like, ew, tuna, yuck. I would never grab tuna. I absolutely love tuna and chickpeas. And like, I don't know if you guys seen me create that, but I love the tuna, chickpeas, cherry tomatoes, bit of corn, balsamic vinegar, salt. Oh my God, so yum. But me before, I would have been like, hell no. I would have gone, because obviously that's like my quick and easy meal, right? A quick and easy meal would have been McDonald's for me. Like, something, right? And I'm like, I would have never reached to go grab the tuna and grab the chickpeas. But I'm like, you know what? It's high in protein and it actually makes me feel really good. And that's one thing that I've noticed after surgery, is that I choose foods that make me feel good. And if I'm going to have something that, like, don't get me wrong, I still live a life. I still have, my food naughty, like if I want to have pizza, I will, but I know it won't make me feel good, and I won't be able to eat as much as I can. For example, if I do choose the tuna and chickpeas and something a little bit more healthier.
Something that I've noticed is like my wife and I, we still go out on dates and stuff, and we'll go and have breakfast together or lunch or whatever it is, and quite often now we enjoy finding places where we can share one meal. And I love watching and even seeing people's reactions when we share a meal and we don't even finish that one meal. And, people look at you as if there's something wrong with you. And it's like, we have the best time out, and we love finding these places that do amazing food. And that will let us share it. I think those little things just make it really fun.
I'm really looking forward, because my husband is having gastric sleeve next month.
Yes, I saw. How exciting!
I know. I'm so excited for him. It's been such a long process, and he's really, like, he's tried so hard to, because he was never in a bigger body until probably the last sort of 10 years. And even now he's still very much like a lower BMI person, but he has like other medical complications. So I'm really excited. One of the things that I'm so excited for is watching how all of this is going to unfold for him. I can't wait to watch his confidence come back. I mean, he like was the life of the party, like Mr. Personality, so funny, and it's just been so so sad to watch his confidence be knocked over the last few years. And I'm so excited to watch that come back because I know it's going to. Like I'm even like a little bit scared because my goodness, like he is just so much fun, isn't he, Damo?
Yeah.
Do you know what though? That exactly what you said. You cannot wait to watch his confidence come back. And that is one thing I love watching with people is their spark, their glow. Like, you know, I think a lot of people, you know, something like that. One thing that I found was a beautiful compliment that I would receive is when people would say to you, your glow is back, your confidence back. And they would say, you were happy before, but there's this something about you now. And I'm like, you know what? Because I'm genuinely happy. So I cannot wait to see his journey as well, because honestly, just seeing people find themselves again is honestly, it makes me so happy. And it inspires me as well. Like it gives me that motivation when I see someone else is killing it at life, because like I've always said, it's you versus you. You should never compare yourself to anyone. But like when you do see someone's journey, you're just like, fuck yeah, you're killing it. Go you. Or, you know, if he does do something that like, you know, something that he was afraid of before, like let's say whatever it could be, if he was afraid of going to the gym and then he joins the gym and then he's absolutely falling in love with it. Like I love seeing people's personal growth with that.
Me too.
Definitely.
Michaela, thank you so much for joining us today.
No worries.
Now, we're going to put more details of how you can
this giveaway
win this voucher. We'll have more details at the end of this, so don't go away. But Michaela, we've absolutely loved having you with us today.
And we can't wait to chat again.
Honestly, it feels like we're chatting for 5 minutes. Thank you for having me. I absolutely love you guys and what you do for our community. You have honestly put out so much information and have changed so many people's lives, like mine. Like I always say, I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for you and your help page.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you. No, you're right.
Okay. Right, and we'll just push pause.
Head over to the Barry Chronicles on Instagram to enter the draw.